Okay, we're going to do lesson 4.1b. 4.1b. And we're going to do vertex form again. So it's a continuation. We're going to first start by practicing a problem that we did yesterday. Okay, so this is going to be kind of the meat and potatoes of this lesson, where you have vertex form, y equals a x minus h squared plus k. All right, hk is the vertex. We know axis symmetry, all that stuff. So let's go ahead and practice one. So number one, I'm going to give you this. Y equals 3 times x minus 1 squared plus 2. And what I want you to do here is I want you to do all the parts, okay? We're going to find the vertex, the axis of symmetry. We're going to find out if it has a maximum or a minimum and what that value is. What else? Domain. You can't write. Domain, range, and then I also want you to graph it. Okay, so I'm going to give you a minute or 2 or 3 to work on that. I want you to try this. See how much. If you can only do like 2 out of the 6, then do the 2 out of the 6, okay? All right, I'll pause it. The vertex. The vertex is, let's see if you got this right. Ooh, you know what we should do? We should all stand, and if you miss one, you sit. Yeah. No, that's so mean. No, I would never. The next one. We should do that. Well, maybe we'll do that during the block and not when it's recording. Okay, here we go. 1, 2. Who's still standing? Yes, okay. I was like, oh, man. All right, 1, 2. So we're going to go to 1, 2. And there's our vertex. Okay, the axis of symmetry is that x equals 1. Yeah. Ooh, some people are still standing. Good. In my mind, they are. There's the vertex. You don't have to graph that. I just like to put that in there. Okay. Now I need to graph this. This might be the hardest part. When you graph this, you need to have just like one more point. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and let x equal 0, and I'm going to plug it in to find out what y is. So I would go 3 times 0 minus 1 squared plus 2. And you know you can plug that whole thing into your calculator, right? And when you do that, you end up getting 5. If you can do that in your head, great. 0 minus 1 is negative 1. Negative 1 squared is positive 1. Times 3 is 3, plus 2 is 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5. There's my point. And then because I drew that axis of symmetry in, I can see that there's another point on that side of the graph too. So there's my graph. Beautiful. Yeah?
So instead of plugging in 0, can you also just do like the 3?
It works sometimes. It doesn't work all the time because a parabola is not lines like a absolute value is. So it's not going to really have a slope. It's going to like rise really quickly. In this case, it worked, but sometimes it doesn't. So I wouldn't rely on that, especially when it's fractions. Like 3 will work, 2 will work, stuff like that. But if it's 1/2, you can't go up 1 and over 2. It doesn't work that way. So I wouldn't do that all the time just because it doesn't work sometimes. All right, let's talk about maximum or minimum. This graph has a minimum. Okay, everything is above that point. A minimum on the y-axis. So it's a minimum, and that minimum is 2. Okay, and that comes from right here, that 2. The domain, please don't miss this. All real numbers, every single thing works for x. What's so funny? And then the range are going from our y's, our minimum is 2, and if I said pick a number that's bigger than 2 or equal to 2, you would say all my numbers y are greater than or equal to 2. All right, who would have been standing that whole time? Whoa, your feet would have been tired. To infinity and beyond. Okay, so now let's do some new stuff. So the new stuff is going to look like this. Number 2. Oh, yeah, do you write it in interval notation? Do you know that? How do you know that? Oh, but it needs to be a bracket around 2.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm a genius.
That is good. No, that's, oh, I just highlighted it. I highlighted my mistake instead of erased it. I know that was bothering me. Yeah, you would do bracket 2 to infinity. Who taught you that? It's true. Oh, don't let him bother you. Okay, here we go. Number 2. Now we're going to do this. Remember back when we did linear equations and you were given some parts of a line, you had to come up with the equation for that line? We're going to do that with parabolas too, okay? So I'm going to give you the graph of a parabola, and we need to write the equation of that parabola. Yeah, it's hard. So this is what you're going to go. Go 1, 2, 3, 1. Put a dot there. And then put a dot at 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So we have 2 very distinct dots on our parabola, and our parabola is going to look like this. Just like that. Okay? Wow, that's really kind of ugly, huh? Shush, I'd like to see you do better. You're like, here it is. I did better. All right, so 2 very distinct dots. There's this one, and there's that one. And now we need to write an equation for this parabola, okay? So here they are. I'll tell you, we're going to walk through all the steps. The first thing you're going to do is the vertex of your parabola is HK. HK. And that's going to go in, oh, I did it again. I keep doing that. Yeah, HK. That's going to go into vertex form. Here's vertex form. Remember, we wrote this down at the beginning. It's going to go in for H and for K. So let's look at what the vertex is here. The vertex, yes. The vertex is this point right here. So the vertex is at 3, 1. Okay? So let's start by plugging that into our vertex form. Y equals, I don't know what A is yet, but I know that H is 3, so I'm going to write minus 3 squared plus 1. So that vertex went in here and here. It replaced H and it replaced K. Okay. Now, I do not know what A is, and I can't count up and down and all that stuff. But what I can do is take this point, so step number 2 is now to take the point XY on your parabola. And you're going to take that and you're going to plug it in for X and Y here. So our point on our parabola, that's XY. Yes, no, 1, 5. 1, 5, yep. No, that's right. 1, 5. Okay? That's this point right here, 1, 5. We're going to take that and we're going to plug 1 in for X and 5 in for Y. So we get Y equals A. No, stop, go back. Don't. Okay. Y is now 5. Sorry about that. 5 equals A, 1 minus 3 squared plus 1. Okay? So first step, plug in H and K, where it goes, in for H and K. Then plug a random point, the point they give you, in for X and Y. Now we're going to find out what A is. Here's how you find out what A is. You go like this. Parentheses. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4. 4 times A is 4A. That's how you simplify that. You can do all that in your head. Do parentheses first, then exponents, and then multiply it to A. Subtract 1. Did I do something wrong here?
No. Minus 1.
A equals 1.
She did it. You're good. Bobby said you're right.
Oh,
Bobby said you're good.
Okay. Subtract 1.
And it's 1.
Yes. A equals 1. Yay. Okay. So now, finally, the last step. There's a lot of steps here. Last step is step number 3. Go back and plug everything in. So Y equals 1, X minus 3 squared plus 1. That would be the equation of your... Yeah, so for parabolas, you have to have a Y and an X.
Oh.
Yeah, the only thing you need to replace is you want to find out what A is, H is, and K.
Okay.
All right, let's do another one. Number 3. Let's do this one. Let's say that the vertex is given to us as the point -3, 5, and some random point on our parabola is at -3, 8. No, it can't be -3. Is that the 7-minute bell, really? -5, 8. Okay? All right. So let's go through the whole thing. This is exactly like, this is the last one, by the way, and it's exactly like the last one. Okay? Start by putting in the vertex for HK. A point on the graph, a regular point, is not going to go in for HK. The vertex is special. Okay? The vertex is our H and our K. So go to, that's your first step, and you'll get a point for that. If you can do that step, you'll get a point for that. So y equals A, x plus 3, because minus 3 is plus 3. Don't forget the squared, because these are parabolas, and then plus 5. Okay? That's the first step. Second step, now take this point right here and put the point in for x and for y. So 8 goes in for y. -5 goes in for x. Oh, you're going to get 4 again, huh? I didn't mean to do that, but that's okay. All right, so let's simplify this. -5 plus 3 is -2. -2 squared is 4. 4 times a is 4a. Okay. Subtract 5 over. It's okay if it's not going to work out to be an integer or a whole number or anything like that. So 3 equals 4a, which means a is 3/4. Okay, go back up to this step. See that a right there? This a right here. We need to put 3/4 in that spot. So let's do it. Y equals 3/4 x plus 3 squared plus 5. Okay? So it's a lot, but it's doable. You do the vertex first, then plug in the point, and then plug in a at the final end.